Good morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, out of Voice of Radio. So today we need to take a good old look at Ultra Prism. You see, Ultra Prism is another one of those sets that I have seen for sale in the not too distant past. This is a set which came out a while ago, to be fair. Ultra Prism, it's not a new set. I don't think that's an unfair statement to make. It was the 5th Sun and Moon expansion. It launched in February 2018. So we're talking over 5 years old at this stage. But it is still a set that we have seen popping up in some products in a not too distant past. Which has made me go back and have a little bit of a gander and think, well, hang on a second, what's happening to that set now? And it's another one of those sets that is absolutely exploding in value. And frankly, ladies and gentlemen, we need to have a chat about this. It's getting quite high. And just as a side note from your old pal Wassy before we get going properly here, if you see a chance to pick up some packs of Ultra Prism, might be worth it. But also in terms of singles, we're basically at the point now with singles, right? Where either you need to get on them quickly, or it's going to be too late and you're done. It's really kind of one or the other. Unfortunately, we are getting to that stage where even the reasonable ones aren't going to be that reasonable for long. Now, weirdly, there's a few gold cards at the bottom part of this top 10 that have actually dropped in value. So if we start off with Crushing Hammer, which is a number 10 card at the moment, in the past year, this has dropped from a $50 card to about a $35 card. Which is kind of awesome, honestly, and I'm kind of into it. Because it's Crushing Hammer. Now, to be fair, gold items do not necessarily hold their value as much as some others, and we sometimes see reprint of these cards, etc. So that's kind of why it's not that big, and I assure you, up at the top end of this video, we are in a very different situation. But Crushing Hammer's actually gone from a 50 to a 35. So this is the kind of one, it is consistently about 35 at the moment. So maybe this is one to have a look at. Similarly, if we have a look at LUNALA-GX over the past year, this has gone from about a $42 card to about a $38 card. Now, to be fair, if you're looking at that as a drop, that is not much of a drop, alright? Let's be clear, the quote-unquote drop is quite small. There's not been a huge drop here, but it's at least not been rising in value, so like I say, these gold cards at the bottom end of this list are actually not getting ridiculous. Now, when we get to the top end of the list, I assure you it will get ridiculous. I won't lie to you. But at the lower end of this list, some of these gold cards are a bit cheaper. Now, in terms of LEAFEON-GX, the Rainbow Rare version, that's gone from about a 33 to a 40 over the past year. Although some of the recently sold are nearer to 30, so this is another one that it is creeping up. But if you want to be picking up this LEAFEON, now is probably a decent time to do so. Again, I'm not suggesting it's been massively going up in value, but as we're going to see from some of the other cards on this list, a lot of them are, as in jumping up in value. And Gardenia is a nice example here. Now look, Gardenia, I think it's fair to say, is not one of the more popular female characters in the Pokémon franchise. I don't think that's an unfair statement to make. I like Gardenia, and Gardenia's figure's kind of cool at the moment, but I think it's fair to say that Gardenia is not exactly hugely popular. And yet, as we see over the past year, we've crept from about a $33 card to about a $42 card. It's not a huge increase, but it is actually about a third in the space of a year, and like I've said, Ultra Prism is still available in some places. Some products still do occasionally come with Ultra Prism. I report that on the channel when they happen. My point is, we are very shortly going to get to a stage, I imagine at least, where Ultra Prism is like legit gone. And you will never find it again, not at least in new release products. And that is going to be the point where things get dumb. Now, before we get to the cards what are going dumb, we do need to point out that in at number 6, before we get into the top 5, Solgaleo has done what Lunala did. The gold Solgaleo, for some reason, I don't know what it is, these gold cards are not holding their value in the same way that some full art supporters do. Which is weird, frankly. It's gone, in the course of the past year, it's actually dropped from a $50 card to about a $40 card-ish. It's gone down about 20% in the past year. Now, these Solgaleo and Lunala cards are clearly cool. They're very gold. These are cards that I would personally be looking at. And nothing in this value is intended to be taken as investment advice or anything stupid like that. This is just a case of these cards have actually dropped in the past year, and they're extremely cool cards that are not going to stay this low forever. But then we get to the top 5, and when we get to the top 5, this is where we start seeing this set go as we would expect this set to go. So in at number 5, we've got Mars. Over the past year, we've seen a jump from about $33 to $45. And again, and I know there are some $31 souls, but they're lightly played. They're not mint. And this is one of those ones where Mars is not exactly the most popular character. We'll get to the more popular characters, in a couple of spaces' time. But this is a case of, it's still a full art supporter. Mars is still kind of cool. And all of these cards are going to be creeping up as time goes by. I don't expect this card to drop anytime soon. Yes, I know there was a drop around about August, September of last year. Actually went down to a $25 card. But since then, it's gone back up to a $45 card. And this is not going anywhere anytime soon. And again, just a prediction, not a guarantee. But if I were you and I was interested in Full Art Mars, this is a card I would probably go for sooner rather than later. And we see a similar thing with Full Art Lana. Over the past year, it seems to have gone up gradually, but it's actually gone from a $25 card to about a $50 card. I know the market price is about $46, but we've seen 2 of the recent souls of $48. So I do think it's fair to assume that this is really nearer of a $50 card at the moment than it really is a $45. And a year ago, it was $25. And this one is starting to creep up. Now, we're going to get to a couple in a minute that are not creeping up. Creeping is not the word we use. In fact, the next 3 are all going a little bit silly. This is the last one that hasn't gone really silly. So look, if you like Gen 7, if you like Lana, if this is a card you're looking to pick up, it's almost doubled in price in the past year, and it's probably not going anywhere anytime soon. You have been warned. But then we get to the truly silly portion of Ultra Prism. Full Art Lusamine. In the space of a year, we've gone from $50 to, look, the market price is showing as $90, but that's not really fair. We got a lightly played that sold for $72, and the other 2 souls were $90 and $93. This is pretty much a $100 card at this point. At this stage, picking it up for $100 is honestly probably a decent shout. Now, I'm not saying you should. I'm not giving investment advice. I'm giving you my opinion based on what I'm seeing in the numbers. These graphs, I should mention, are from TCG Player. Very good website for stuff like this. Lusamine is a very popular character. The artwork on this card, as far as I'm concerned at least, is absolutely stunning. And this seems to be one of those cards that people have decided is cool. We all know at this stage that some of these female full art supporters are rolling in terms of value. This seems to be one of them. We've seen a pretty big jump, and we can see we jumped from 70 to 90 just in the past month, but I don't think this is going down anytime soon, ladies and gentlemen. This one is going silly, but it's not the silliest. In the past year, Cynthia has gone from about an $85 card up to a $125 card. Except it's not really a $125 card, let's be clear. The last sold, the only near mint, sold for $150. There was a moderately played for $95 and a lightly played for $113, but the last near mint that sold was $150. So, yeah, I do think it's fair to assume that this is not really a $125 card. This is far, far closer to a $150 card. It's not a cheap card. And we all know that, in terms of champions, I think it's fair to assume that Cynthia is probably the most popular of the champions. At least right up there. Everybody loves Cynthia. And it was actually a phenomenal card before it rotated. Shuffle Draw 6 is amazing. But this is one of those cards where, honestly, the last near mint sold was $150. And that seems, from everything, and I'm looking around as I do this. I'm not just going off of TCG Player graphs. I'm going and having a look on eBay. I'm going and having a look on TCG Player and other websites, seeing what's for sale. And frankly, at the moment, getting one for, there isn't a $150 listing on TCG Player. So you'd have to hunt around and try and find one for 150. This is getting silly. But not as silly as Lillie. In the past year, we've gone from a $235 card to a $360 card. But again, like I've been saying with the other high-end cards on this list, I don't think 360 is really an accurate reflection of value here. I don't think this is a $360 card, if I'm honest with you. Because if you look at the last solds, there was a moderately played for 200, a lightly played for 400, and a near mint for 435. This to me, and again, this is a very rough guide, this to me looks more like a $400 card at the moment. And again, there's no listings on TCG Player whatsoever, and on eBay, $400, from what I've been looking around the past few days, $400 would seem like a decent shout. Now, I'm not guaranteeing it's a $400 card. I'm not saying you won't find it for less than $400 or anything along those lines. I am just saying that from everything I'm seeing, that seems to be a rough estimation of value at the moment. These cards are getting silly. And we do have ones at the lower end, ones like the Gold Solgaleo and Lunala, that are a reasonable price and actually have dropped in the past year. But I'm telling you, that's not going to last. There are some at the top end like Lillie and Cynthia that are getting full dumb. And I've shown you on this channel over the past few months, there have been some products cropping up here and there with the odd pack of Ultra Prism in them. That is going to run out soon, and this is going to get even sillier. Right, there we go, ladies and gentlemen. That's what you need to know about Ultra Prism, and now it's over to you guys. Is this something you're interested in? Are these cards you've picked up, going to pick up? Are you a fan of Ultra Prism? What's your favourite card? Go nuts in the comment section, but be nice! And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at the Wasi. That's where we talk about Pokemon and card games and Pokemon card games, all kinds of fun things. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCGradio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts, join a Discord and chat, all kinds of fun things. And of course, you can get shout-outs on the channel, like the lovely Dark1313, who's been a supporter of ours for a while now and seems to be a very lovely person. So shout out to them for the support and for being a very lovely person. But by far the most important thing as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.